shift our the focus over to Amazon here, though, because as Jared highlighted off the top of the show, that was one of the stocks we were seeing move more so than Apple. Apple's been shifting in the green and red, but Amazon down more than 7% right now after they reported earnings. Sales increased 26% to $75.5 billion in the quarter. That included the impacts that they saw off of COVID-19 in the US. Of course, a lot of the impact had been people shifting to buying things online. But the big takeaway from the earnings call was the fact that they were planning to set aside $4 billion that might pressure profits moving forward to prevent some of the problems of their workers in facing the COVID-19 crisis here. Specifically, I want to read what Jeff Bezos offered in that share letter, saying, quote, "If you are a share owner in Amazon, you might want to take a seat because we're not thinking small." He went on to say, under normal circumstances in Q2, we'd expect to make some $4 billion or more in operating profit. But then added, these are not normal circumstances. Instead, we expect to spend the entirety of that $4 billion and perhaps a bit more on COVID-related expenses, getting products to customers and keeping employees safe. That's putting pressure, I would assume, on the stock today. What's your take on that here, as they could report a loss in Q2?
Yeah. So to begin with, Amazon had run up quite a bit running into this quarter. So I think the year-to-date run was pretty strong. So the pullback was warranted, and it's happening right now. And then there is this news that just came about this investigation, or the Senate or the Congress calling them in to clarify his whole charge that they've been abusing the third-party sales and all that stuff. So I think that's also weighing on the stock. But overall, I think this $4 billion is not an issue. It's a huge company now. They're going to hire a lot of people. It's a global empire pretty much with India and US and other places. So they need all this. They want masks. They want to invest in the technology. They want to do so many other things. So I think $4 billion is fine. They can afford to do it. They're generating a lot of cash. So they can do it, and they need to do it because they are the leaders. And their sales, and they're growing at 3 times the whole retail sector pretty much. So I think their growth is astronomical. So they need to keep up with that. They need to feed that. They need to invest in that. I think that's what they're doing. So $4 billion is par for the course for them. It was not a surprise. I think the stock's not selling off because of that. I think the outlook is still good. The stock is selling off because it ran up a lot, and there's some political regulatory headwind there.
Yeah, no, it had definitely run up quite a bit. Expectations were very high in terms of this general sense of people shopping online more here in lockdown. But the question still remains, as you brought up, what pressure might come on Amazon moving forward. Of course, there was already pressure internally from a lot of its employees saying that the company wasn't doing enough to protect workers, especially in the lockdown sense and the fear around coronavirus here. But you did raise the point that the House Judiciary Committee wants Jeff Bezos to come testify, considering the fact that they've looked into those claims that the company was inappropriately using seller data to launch its own products to compete then against third-party sellers on its platform. This is kind of the monopoly problems that we've heard raised from other people on the campaign trail, including Senator Elizabeth Warren, taking issue with these tech giants. In the case of Amazon, though, specifically, it does sound like they are pointing to some real examples here. The companies deny that they've done that. But how important to Amazon's business is some of this selling that they're offering on their platform now, considering that this is really what the House Judiciary Committee is going after here?
No, I think it is very important. It's part of their whole empire, their whole product offering. So, but they have to explain themselves very well, very carefully, and get the politicians on their side, which is not going to be easy. I mean, they get blamed for all the retail woes out there, all the retail problems, and unfairly. So, but that's what it is. They have a big target on their back, and so they have many reasons, and they're so big now that there can be some breaches of some laws here and there, or appearance of that. I'm not really doing it purposely, but appearance of that. And you always have disgruntled employees and all that. So you don't know what's right and what's wrong, what's real and what's not. So I think you'll have to wait and see. The company will definitely have to come and explain themselves, because there is definitely scope to do all those violations. And they have to come out and say they have some guardrails around that, and they make sure that these things don't happen. I think that's the whole thing. And they have to really come out and explain the whole thing.
Yeah, and it is. I mean, it does sound like Congress wants more than just explanations, because they do take issue with the explanations they've got so far.
And it's election year too, and good theater and good posturing and all that. So I think all that is also playing into this. So you'll see a lot of this going on, and to a large extent, it's a victim of its own success. I mean, Amazon is just a juggernaut, and everyone wants to get a piece of them. So you'll see them. They'll answer. I'm sure they have a lot of good lawyers on their on their side, and if not, they'll get more also. But they need to defend themselves very rigorously.
Yeah, it's clear. And the charges are getting more serious here. The last note that was sent out today requesting Jeff Bezos to come testify did say Amazon potentially, based on the way that they had been testifying before in the past and what's now being reported, could be their business practices appear to be misleading and possibly criminally false or perjurous as well. So the charges against Amazon clearly getting a bit more serious here. But Santosh Rao, thank you so much for joining us. Appreciate you taking the time, sir.
Thanks for having me.